It was on Sunday the 3rd of May that our media broke the story Hantavirus had been on a ship. Through Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday, scientist upon scientist explained why this illness, though tragic for a few individuals, is a very low threat to public health. So here's what the Telegraph posted on Thursday. The terror of the medieval plague ship has returned to haunt the world.
Oh my God, not referencing the bubonic plague.
The literal Black Death, which, by the way, wiped out 50 million people and killed up to 2/3 of Europe's population.
Yeah, okay, that seems very proportionate from the Telegraph.
Very responsible.
Not remotely fear-mongering or, I don't know, completely insane.
Let's just fast forward, shall we? Cut them a bit of slack. Skip the whole of the next week of similar headlines. It's the 14th of May. By this time, there have been no fatalities from hantavirus beyond the first 3. Tragic, but not pandemic-level deaths. A WHO expert has taken journalists' questions very patiently. Maria Van Kerkhove, an infectious disease epidemiologist, tells them, this is not COVID, this is not influenza, it spreads very, very differently. So hantavirus, it generally doesn't actually transfer person to person at all. But the Andes strain on the cruise ship is able to, only, however, with very close, sustained direct contact. By all metrics, it has a low transmission rate. So what does the Telegraph report? Hantavirus may survive in human sperm for up to 6 years and cause a transmission risk.
Oh my gosh, just like digging for ways that it could theoretically maybe develop a transmission risk.
16th of May. And look, the WHO expert has really spelled it out. She said, I want to be unequivocal here. This is not the start of a COVID pandemic. This is an outbreak that we see on a ship. The Telegraph writes, could the rat virus spread through Britain's sewers?
Oh my gosh, back to the plague! A plague upon both your houses.
The Daily Mail reprints this scoop by the Telegraph. If you read the article, its entire premise is based on one statement by an anonymous doctor. Unclear if they're even a medical doctor.
Probably AI.
Meanwhile, any doctor they speak to who is actually willing to put their name to their theory tells the reporter, this is ridiculous. This theory that you've asked me to comment on is extremely low risk.
That's the news, ladies and gentlemen.
So another week goes by. There's still not another single hantavirus casualty. So naturally, the Daily Mail publishes an interview with a doomsday prepper saying, these are the cheap and easy steps you should take to prepare for hantavirus or worse. Crystal, the doomsday prepper, then tells Daily Mail readers, I do think this could become a pandemic.
Oh, never mind what the doctors say. Thank goodness for Crystal, the doomsday prepper.
Crystal's top tips, if you were wondering, Helena, include stocking up on a solar generator, seedling garden, body armour, and freezers full of meat.
Great, done. Having worked in a newsroom during the COVID pandemic, you and I know immediately why this is happening, Mathilda. Traffic.
Yep. I knew you'd say that. I got the data. This is all from Press Gazette. So the news conglomerate Reach, which owns the Mirror, the Express and the Star here in the UK, said it was getting 10 million page views more than average during the pandemic. The Telegraph saw new subscribers grow by more than 200% year on year of the pandemic. The Financial Times said the pandemic resulted in its highest levels of consumption and engagement online they had ever seen. Sorry, friends, but those daily death tolls breathed new life into the news industry. And I'm sorry for the crude comparison, but that is also just the way the news goes.
Great stats.
Now let's look at some other stats. I compared Western media's coverage of the hypothetical hantavirus crisis with their coverage of the actual Ebola crisis. I scoured the BBC, Guardian, Times and Sunday Times, Telegraph, Daily Mail, and I threw in the US's Fox News and CNN for luck. Not a single outlet reported more or even as much on the Ebola epidemic as they did on the hantavirus outbreak in the period that those two stories intersected. The BBC was the closest and nearly equivalent. Across the board, there was on average 240% more coverage of hantavirus than Ebola. This, by the way, as there were well over 1,000% more Ebola deaths than hantavirus ones, working with the minimum estimate. Fox News dedicated 3 times as much coverage to hantavirus. The Times and the Sunday Times, over 5 times as much coverage for hantavirus. The Daily Mail published a pathological 8 articles every day about hantavirus for a full 25 days.
8 articles a day? What were they even writing?
Believe me, Helena, you don't want to know. That is time in my life I can never get back. But I think this editorial rationale points to one of the biggest catastrophes in our media, and actually one of our media's most misleading practices, which is how we falsely compartmentalize the world.
Meaning?
Just because it's happening over there truly doesn't mean it's nothing to do with over here.